Okay, so Webflow may have just put off a really good marketing stunt, or they may actually have their customers' needs at heart. I would say this is probably one of the most biggest news announcements that Webflow has released in a while. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Andy. We're a Webflow first healthcare web development agency. So I'm always keeping up on the trends with this stuff with Webflow. And over the last several months, they've gone through a bit of a positioning crisis because their initial moat was that it allowed you to edit code in a visual format very quickly. Coincidentally, they're also scheduled to have their Webflow conference at the start of next month. And there's a lot of expectations riding on this. Timothy Ricks made a LinkedIn post yesterday morning, July 28th, just talking about how he thinks this Webflow conference is going to be make or break for the company. Their original moat, hosting visual draft editing of code, is no longer a moat for them. And honestly, the last few months for them has been a combination of layoffs, bad positioning, and them having to figure out who they really are. So then come yesterday afternoon, July 28th, they published this blog, Getting to the Source, released by their product officer and their VP of engineering. And the main message of this, in between some clearly, AI generated phrases in here, is that they are slowly repositioning. They start by clarifying some of their core messaging, going back to the founder, Vlad Magdalin, and what he envisioned the product to be. And they also kind of clarify what the product is now. So the main difference, and I want you to lock in for a couple seconds here, because this is going to explain the whole concept of Webflow and agentic development and really create that line. When you're using Webflow, you are not directly editing source code in the visual format. Webflow is actually a layer between visual interface and source code that allows you to preview the changes you're making and make small tweaks from a visual format. Then after you publish, the source code is then edited and brought to the live website. So Webflow is kind of that layer, and the hard part that they're in right now, the rock and the hard place that they're in between, is that they actually lock down that hosting, they lock down that source code, and it's not freely editable to be changed by LLMs, which is unfortunate. And if you guys have spent any time at all using Astro Codex or a development workspace like Ship Studio, which I built a couple sites on, shout out to Julian Galuzzo over at Ship Studio, great product. But that is not a moat anymore. The code can be edited, it can be visually previewed, but Webflow does have the specific advantage in the visual and inside the code feeling. Like there's no way to explain unless you've experienced it. The amount of control that Webflow actually gives you when you go under the hood and you can refine all these small details across small breakpoints, across every single breakpoint, deeply customize it. And that's why it speaks so well to visual developers, designers, and this thing that they called out here, one of my favorite parts of this article, the abstraction. So two things are true at once. The abstraction opened the web to a generation of visual developers, and that same abstraction also separated them from their creation. So basically what they're saying is that if Webflow had never existed in its current state, given the technology that was available when it was founded, a lot of people wouldn't have careers. A lot of people would have never approached web development. And I am 100% in that camp. I have a design, UI, UX background, and I built my first website in Webflow. And that's why there's also a big emotional tie, and it's hard for them as a company because once you're private equity backed, from my understanding, they're trying to IPO at some point, which would be, the ultimate comeback story now. But once you start to serve enterprise customers, the people that got you to market, the freelancers, the people that you built your product around in the early days, the ones that are giving you a lot of feedback, the one you could ship updates around, you kind of abandon them when you start to serve enterprise customers once you have all the security on your platform as well. So main gist of this article that I wanted to portray, it looks like they're sort of entering a next chapter. Now, I'm not sure if this is their marketing ploy. I mean, shout out to the CMO at Webflow for getting this much traffic on a blog post. I mean, because they have cracked the code of doing that apparently. Just announce the new direction of your company if you want some, spike traffic in Google Analytics. But the main point of it, like I said, between some AI slop and some pieces of this article, was that they plan to announce a lot of this around the Webflow conference next month in September. Conveniently, they are, dangling the carrot a little bit here to sell out I'm sure a lot of the capacity in their conference that no one really originally wanted to go to. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm excited. I'm excited that Webflow is no longer kind of burying their head in the sand and pretending that, the industry, their product value, their moat has changed. And this is the first time in a while that I felt that Webflow is actually listening to their customers, both on the studio, smaller agency side, rather than just its enterprise customers. So I'm thrilled for this. Obviously, I'm going to be making more content about it as this stuff unfolds. I'll be watching a Webflow conference asynchronously online. But yeah, shout out to Webflow. I'm excited, and we'll see what comes up next. Be sure to subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. See you next time.